12,900 years ago, a fiery comet the size of a mountain tears through the heavens, splintering into fragments that slam into Earth with the force of 1,000 nuclear bombs. Explosions light up the skies, wildfires rage across continents, and a choking veil of ash plunges the world into a frozen darkness. Entire civilizations, cities of stone and metal, technologies we can scarcely imagine are reduced to rubble, swallowed by rising seas or buried under ice. The mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and dire wolves vanish, their bones entombed in layers of mystery. Was this the apocalypse that erased Atlantis, the fabled empire Plato swore existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules? Or is the truth even stranger, hidden by forces determined to keep humanity in the dark? Could a conspiracy of silence spanning academia, governments, or something far older be guarding secrets that could rewrite our history? This is the younger Dryas, a cataclysm so profound it may hold the key to lost worlds. And tonight, we'll chase its shadows to uncover what's been buried for millennia. What caused this sudden plunge into an ice age, just as the Earth was warming? The younger Dryas, spanning from 12,900 to 11,550 years ago, wasn't just a cold snap. It was a global upheaval that reshaped life itself. Temperatures in Greenland plummeted by 4 to 10 degrees Celsius. Tundra swallowed forests in North America, and ice sheets crept forward once more, lowering sea levels by 20 to 40 meters. But the real enigma lies in its cause. Scientists point to a disruption in the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, triggered by a flood of fresh water from a colossal glacial lake called Agassiz. Yet, whispers of a bolder theory persist, the younger Dryas impact hypothesis. It claims a comet, or comets, crashed into Earth, igniting chaos that froze the planet and obliterated advanced societies. If true, why do we find no trace of their ruins? Is it because the evidence lies submerged beneath oceans, locked in ice, or deliberately suppressed? Consider the clues that fuel this mystery. Across North America, Europe, Asia, and even South Africa, archaeologists have unearthed black mats, dark, organic-rich layers, laced with charcoal, soot, and iridium, a metal rare on Earth but abundant in comets. These layers, dated to the younger Dryas boundary, suggest wildfires so vast they could only stem from a cosmic catastrophe. Then there are nanodiamonds, microscopic crystals formed under extreme heat and pressure, found in the same sediments. A 2024 study from Louisiana revealed a potential impact crater, its features screaming of an explosion powerful enough to alter the climate. Platinum spikes, shocked quartz, and melt glass spheres further hint at a celestial assault. But here's the question that keeps us awake. If a comet struck, why isn't there a massive crater staring us in the face? Could it have hit ice sheets, erasing its mark? Or are we being misled to protect a narrative that civilization began only 5,000 years ago? Enter Graham Hancock, the maverick author whose books and Netflix series, Ancient Apocalypse, argue that a lost civilization, perhaps Atlantis itself, was wiped out by this very cataclysm. Hancock points to Göbekli Tepe, an 11,000-year-old megalithic site in Turkey, its pillars carved with comets and stars, as a monument built by survivors carrying forbidden knowledge. He suggests Egyptian priests passed down tales of a drowned world recorded by Plato, and that indigenous myths from Native American flood stories to the Epic of Gilgamesh echo a shared memory of destruction. But Hancock's claims ignite fury in academic circles, who dismiss him as a pseudoscientist peddling fantasy. Why the resistance? Is it because his ideas threaten the dogma that humanity was merely hunter-gatherers before Sumer? Or is there a deeper agenda, a concerted effort to hide evidence of advanced societies that mastered architecture and astronomy long before the pyramids? The shadows grow darker with the Comet Research Group, led by Alan West, who champion the impact hypothesis. Their findings, nanodiamonds, platinum, and black mats, point to a cosmic event, yet their work faces accusations of data manipulation and religious bias, especially after a retracted 2024 paper claimed the biblical Sodom was destroyed by an airburst. Critics argue these anomalies are natural, tied to wetlands or wildfires, not comets. But what if the retractions are part of a cover-up, orchestrated to silence those who dare challenge history's timeline? Recent discoveries, like sonar images off Spain's coast in 2025, reveal submerged structures, walls and towers hinting at Atlantis. Are these the ruins of a lost world, drowned by the younger Dryas floods, or mere geological quirks? And why do global myths, from Hindu Vedas to Aboriginal lore, speak of a great deluge that reset humanity? The stakes are high. If the younger Dryas was triggered by a comet, it suggests our planet is vulnerable to cyclic catastrophes, a truth that might unsettle modern society. Governments and institutions, some claim, suppress this to avoid panic or to conceal ancient technologies buried in secret vaults. The black mats, nano diamonds, and platinum spikes could be scars of a cosmic war, or even signs of extraterrestrial intervention after all, who taught our ancestors to build Göbekli Tepe's astronomical observatories. These questions linger, unanswered, pulling us deeper into the abyss of time. Was the younger Dryas the end of a golden age, or the beginning of our own? What secrets lie buried beneath the ice, waiting to upend everything we believe? I'm Mr. H, your host on Mystery History for Sleep, where we unravel the past to illuminate the present. If you're as captivated by these mysteries as I am, join our journey by subscribing to the channel and tapping the bell icon to stay updated on our explorations into history's hidden corners. As we dive deeper into the younger Dryas, we'll probe its impact on humanity, its link to ancient monuments, and the conspiracies that might be keeping the truth from us. For now, let these enigmas swirl in your mind as you drift towards sleep, dreaming of lost worlds and cosmic secrets. Good night, and we'll meet again in the shadows of history. As we continue our nocturnal voyage into the enigmas of the younger Dryas, let's trace its shadowy origins back to the windswept landscapes of Scandinavia, where the first whispers of this climatic riddle emerged from the Earth itself. It was in the late 19th century, amid the peat bogs and glacial scars of Sweden and Norway, that pioneering paleobotanists began unearthing clues that defied the orderly progression of Earth's warming. These early explorers, armed with rudimentary tools and an unquenchable curiosity, sifted through layers of sediment that told a tale of abrupt reversal, a world that had been thawing suddenly gripped by frost once more. The name Dryas itself derives from a resilient wildflower, Dryas octopetala, whose pollen grains appeared in abundance within these ancient deposits, signaling a return to alpine tundra conditions where only the hardiest flora could endure. But why this flower, of all things, as the herald of such a profound shift? Its presence, thriving in the harsh embrace of cold, became the emblem of a period that challenged everything we thought we knew about the planet's rhythms. The discovery unfolded gradually, like a puzzle pieced together from forgotten fragments. In the year 1879, Swedish geologist Gerard de Geer pioneered varve chronology, counting the annual layers of clay deposited by melting glaciers, much like rings in a tree. His work revealed interruptions, sudden thickenings and darkenings that hinted at a climatic hiccup around 12,000 years ago. Yet, it wasn't until the mid-20th century, with advancements in radiocarbon dating, that the younger Dryas was formally identified as a distinct epoch lasting between 1,150 and 1,300 years. Named to distinguish it from its predecessors, the older Dryas and oldest Dryas, this younger phase stood out for its severity and speed, a brutal interlude that reversed millennia of warming in mere decades. Imagine the bewilderment of those early researchers, staring at pollen samples under microscopes, realizing that the Earth had betrayed its own trajectory. What hidden mechanism could orchestrate such a betrayal, and why did it spare some regions while ravaging others? This leads us to one of the most perplexing facets of the younger Dryas, its asynchronous nature, a global phenomenon that didn't strike uniformly, as if the planet itself were playing a capricious game. In northern Europe, along latitudes 56 to 54 degrees north, cooling set in as early as 13,100 years ago, transforming lush woodlands into barren steppes. Yet, venture farther north, between 60 and 58 degrees, and the chill arrived later, around 12,750 years before present, like a delayed echo rippling through the atmosphere. Cross into Asia, And the mystery deepens. Japanese lake sediments show temperatures dipping only by 12,300 years ago, a lag of 500 to 600 years behind the North Atlantic epicenter. Even in the Philippines, stalagmite records whisper of mild conditions arriving nearly 600 years after northern Europe's plunge. Why this patchwork of timing? Could it suggest not a single cataclysm, but a chain of interconnected events, perhaps influenced by unseen forces manipulating ocean currents or atmospheric patterns? Or, in the realm of speculation, might it point to localized interventions, ancient technologies, or extraterrestrial influences that shielded certain hemispheres while dooming others? Delving into recent revelations only heightens the intrigue. As of August 13th, 2025, fresh sediment cores from Baffin Bay have surfaced, containing microscopic comet dust that bolsters the impact hypothesis, according to a study published just days ago in PLOS One. These grains, rich in iron and silica microspherules, mirror those found in ocean floors worldwide, suggesting a comet trail that blanketed the Earth 12,800 years ago. Scientists from the Comet Research Group argue this debris triggered the climatic upheaval, with airbursts scattering evidence far and wide. Yet, skeptics counter that these particles could stem from volcanic activity or micrometeorites, leaving us to ponder: are we witnessing the fingerprints of a cosmic intruder or a natural cycle disguised as catastrophe? Another breakthrough from Louisiana, detailed in a June 2025 paper, identifies a 300-meter depression east of Perkins, filled with impact proxies like shocked quartz and melt glass. This shallow crater, proponents claim, marks a younger Dryas airburst, potentially linking to Graham Hancock's theories of a lost civilization shattered by such events. But if so, why has this site remained obscure until now? Is it mere oversight, or a deliberate oversight to preserve the sanctity of gradualist geology? The gradualism debate adds another layer of fascination, a philosophical undercurrent that has shadowed the younger Dryas since its inception. In the early days of geology, thinkers like Charles Lyell championed uniformitarianism, the idea that Earth's changes unfold slowly, through processes observable today. This paradigm dismissed sudden upheavals as fanciful, relegating them to myth. When evidence of the younger Dryas first emerged, it clashed with this view, prompting some to downplay its abruptness. Ice core samples from Greenland, drilled in the 1980s and 90s, provided irrefutable proof. Oxygen isotopes revealed a temperature drop of up to 10 degrees Celsius in mere decades, a spike in dust indicating arid winds sweeping the globe. Yet, whispers persist that early researchers, bound by academic dogma, hesitated to publicize findings that could upend textbooks. Could this reluctance stem from fear of associating with catastrophists like Immanuel Velikovsky, whose worlds in collision theories were ridiculed? Or, as some theorists posit, was there pressure from higher echelons, perhaps funding bodies or institutions to maintain a narrative of stability, avoiding implications for modern climate vulnerabilities? These ice cores, extracted from depths exceeding 3 kilometers, offer a frozen archive of the atmosphere, trapping bubbles of ancient air that scientists analyze for greenhouse gases and pollutants. What they reveal is tantalizing: a surge in ammonium and nitrate ions around 12,900 years ago, possibly from biomass burning on a continental scale. Picture vast forests igniting, their smoke blotting the sun, exacerbating the cold. But from where? Traditional explanations tie it to drought-induced wildfires. Yet the black mats, those enigmatic layers, suggest something more sinister. Spanning from the American Great Plains to Chilean valleys, these deposits, often 1 to 2 centimeters thick, brim with charred remains and magnetic grains. A 2025 analysis from phys.org highlights ocean sediments off Greenland echoing this pattern, with elevated iridium levels a cosmic marker fueling debates over extraterrestrial origins. If these mats represent the aftermath of aerial explosions, why do they appear inconsistently timed? One site in the northeast United States dates precisely to the boundary, while another in Asia lags by centuries. This discrepancy sparks curiosity. Is it evidence of multiple impacts, a comet swarm peppering the Earth over time, or a red herring planted by nature to test our resolve. Venturing into the human element amplifies the allure. The younger Dryas coincides with the emergence of Göbekli Tepe, a site in southeastern Anatolia that defies explanation. Constructed around 11,600 years ago, just as the cold relented, its T-shaped pillars, weighing up to 20 tons, bear carvings of animals and abstract symbols that some interpret as astronomical charts. Klaus Schmidt, the site's excavator until his passing in 2014, marveled at how hunter-gatherers could orchestrate such feats without settled agriculture. Recent digs, as reported in Heritage Daily this May, uncover even older layers, pushing dates back toward the younger Dryas onset. Could this temple complex be a refuge for survivors, a repository of knowledge from a pre-cataclysmic era? Envision shamans etching warnings into stone, commemorating the skies that turned hostile. Or, in a twist of speculation, might Göbekli Tepe encode maps to other lost sites, hidden beneath modern cities or ocean floors? The tundra's expansion during this period paints a vivid, haunting picture. In the British Isles, beetle fossils indicate annual temperatures dipping to -5 degrees Celsius, with winters rivaling today's Arctic blasts. Forests retreated, yielding to open grasslands dotted with hardy shrubs, while megafauna struggled to adapt. But here's a puzzle that tantalizes. Why did South America warm slightly, glaciers retreating in Peru and Bolivia, even as the north froze? African records show mixed signals. North Africa's lush Sahara remained verdant, while eastern regions cooled modestly. This hemispheric seesaw, documented in stalagmites from Chinese caves, suggests a bipolar climate flip, perhaps driven by weakened ocean conveyors. Yet, a fresh perspective from Live Science, dated August 8, 2025, proposes a comet trails dust as the culprit, lingering in the atmosphere to block sunlight unevenly. If accurate, it implies the Earth passed through a debris field, a cosmic gauntlet that spared no corner untouched. Pondering these disparities invites endless speculation. What if the non-synchronous cooling reflects not just natural variability, but deliberate anomalies, ancient geoengineering gone awry, or extraterrestrial probes altering weather patterns? Such notions, though fringe, echo in forums and papers alike, where enthusiasts link the younger Dryas to unexplained artifacts like the Clovis points, finely crafted tools that vanished abruptly. In North America's northeast, temperatures fell by 7.5 degrees Celsius, fostering frigid winters and scant rainfall, disastrous for early human settlements. The Laurentide ice sheet, which had been shrinking for millennia, surged forward again, carving valleys and depositing moraines that geologists still map today. A 2025 study from Astrobiology.com reinforces this with marine evidence from Baffin Bay, where sediment layers show abrupt changes in plankton species, indicating a rapid ocean freshening that stalled warm currents. This freshening, tied to Lake Agassiz's outburst floods, raises yet another layer of wonder. This prehistoric lake, larger than all the Great Lakes combined, covered 440,000 square kilometers. Its drainage, possibly through the Mackenzie River into the Arctic, diluted saline waters, halting the Atlantic's thermohaline circulation. But recent models, updated in 2025 by researchers at the University of Mainz, adjust timelines based on new dating techniques, suggesting the European cooling preceded Asian by centuries. Why the delay? Atmospheric teleconnections, where pressure systems relay signals across hemispheres, offer one explanation, but the puzzle persists. In Japan, sediments confirm a 200 to 300 year lag, with mild cooling that barely disrupted pottery-making cultures. The Philippines' stalagmites, growing drop by drop over eons, record even subtler shifts, as if the equator acted as a buffer zone. These revelations from 2025, including a YouTube analysis by experts on South American and Greenland ice, spotlight Murray Springs in Arizona, where Clovis artifacts mingle with megafauna bones in younger Dryas layers. The site's black mat, rich in charcoal, overlays these finds, prompting questions. Did a flash fire from above seal this time capsule? Or was it a gradual accumulation, hiding clues to human resilience? As we sift through these threads, the Younger Dryas emerges not as a monolithic event, but a tapestry of anomalies, each strand pulling us toward uncharted territories. What undiscovered cores or sites await, ready to shatter our assumptions? The history of its unveiling, from De Geer's valves to today's satellite imagery, reminds us that science is an evolving quest, forever teasing at truths just beyond reach. In the Iberian Peninsula, studies from 2025 reveal mitigated effects. Early phases dry and warm, later wetter and cooler, allowing populations to persist without collapse. This resilience contrasts sharply with northern Europe's desolation, where glaciers reclaimed Scandinavia, rendering it nearly uninhabitable. Beetle remains from the British Isles paint winters at -23 degrees Celsius, short summers offering fleeting warmth. Yet, even here, mysteries abound. Pollen records show bursts of summer blooms, as if nature rebelled against the cold. Could these pockets of warmth hint at microclimates preserved by ancient knowledge, or geothermal anomalies tied to volcanic stirrings? Volcanism, indeed, weaves into the narrative. The Larcher Sea eruption, dated slightly before the Younger Dryas, in a 2021 study but revisited in 2025, spewed ash across Europe, potentially amplifying the cooling. Its sulfate aerosols, lingering in the stratosphere, could have dimmed the sun, mimicking an impact winter. But was this eruption solitary, or part of a synchronized global uptick? Icelandic records from recent digs show increased activity, raising the specter of a volcanic chain reaction triggered by isostatic rebound from melting ice. The interplay fascinates. Did earthquakes from unloading glaciers awaken dormant vents, or was there a cosmic spark? Amid these queries, the gradualism conspiracy simmers. Lyell's heirs, some argue, crafted a worldview to sideline biblical floods and Velikovskian collisions, fearing they undermined rational inquiry. Yet, as catastrophism regains ground bolstered by 2025's Baffin Bay dust, the old guard's resistance feels archaic. Ice cores, with their trapped methane spikes, suggest rapid releases from thawing permafrost, a feedback loop that echoes today's climate concerns. Is the Younger Dryas a warning, a mirror to our era's warming, or a veiled message from antiquity? Finally, the connection to Göbekli Tepe beckons like a siren. This site's 22 enclosures, unearthed progressively since 1994, feature pillars adorned with foxes, birds, and scorpions, symbols some decode as constellations marking the Younger Dryas comet. A 2025 paper in Archaeology News proposes these carvings commemorate the event, with a vulture stone aligning to Taurus, where a comet swarm may have originated. Built by people without metals or wheels, it challenges timelines, implying organized societies predating the cold snap. Were its builders refugees from a shattered world, encoding survival lore in stone? The site's burial, deliberate around 10,000 years ago, adds intrigue. Was it hidden to protect sacred knowledge, or to seal away a curse? As we ponder these mysteries, where are you listening from tonight, dear friends? What's the hour where you are, as we unravel these ancient secrets together? In the heart of the Younger Dryas enigma, where the threads of science and speculation intertwine like vines in an ancient forest, we find ourselves at a crossroads of explanations that could either anchor us to the familiar shores of natural processes or propel us into the stormy seas of cosmic intervention. The mainstream narrative, upheld by decades of rigorous study, paints a picture of oceanic betrayal, a subtle yet devastating shift in the planet's circulatory system that turned warmth to winter overnight. Picture the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, often abbreviated as the AMOC, as the Earth's great conveyor belt, ferrying warm, salty waters northward from the tropics to temper the chill of higher latitudes. This system, driven by differences in temperature and salinity, keeps climates stable, much like a heartbeat sustains life. But around 12,900 years ago, something disrupted this vital flow, and the consequences echoed across hemispheres. Researchers trace this disruption to the colossal meltwater lakes that formed as the last ice age waned. Lake Agassiz, a behemoth spanning 170,000 square miles across what is now Canada and the northern United States, swelled with fresh water from retreating glaciers. When its dams, natural barriers of ice and rock, finally gave way, torrents of this less dense water surged into the North Atlantic, perhaps via the Mackenzie River pathway into the Arctic, or eastward directly into the ocean. This influx diluted the salty surface waters, preventing them from sinking as they cooled, effectively stalling the AMOC. Without this sinking motion, warm currents faltered, and cold polar air dominated, plunging the northern hemisphere into a prolonged freeze. Studies from the Greenland ice cores, with their precise isotopic records, confirm this shutdown could have persisted for over a millennium, aligning perfectly with the Younger Dryas duration. But what if this explanation, tidy as it seems, masks a more explosive trigger? Could the meltwater floods themselves have been unleashed not by gradual warming, but by a sudden, otherworldly jolt? This is where the veil lifts on the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a proposition that ignites debates like sparks in dry tinder. Envision a disintegrating comet, its icy core fracturing as it hurtles through the inner solar system, shedding a debris stream that Earth unwittingly crosses 12,800 years ago. Fragments, some kilometers wide, detonate in airbursts over ice sheets and oceans, unleashing shockwaves that melt vast swaths of glaciers in an instant. The resulting freshwater deluge cascades into the seas, crippling the AMOC and initiating the cold snap. Proponents, including members of the Comet research group, point to a mosaic of evidence that grows more compelling with each passing year. As recently as August 6, 2025, a groundbreaking study in PLOS, one analyzed marine sediment cores from Baffin Bay, revealing peaks in iron-rich and silica-rich microspherules, tiny spheres formed in the heat of impacts, alongside high-temperature minerals and platinum group elements like iridium and platinum. These anomalies, dated precisely to the Younger Dryas onset, suggest a cosmic barrage that peppered the northern hemisphere, with airbursts minimizing craters while maximizing devastation. The intrigue escalates when we consider the global distribution of these markers. From the American Southwest to Syrian plains, black mats laden with charcoal and soot overlay the boundary layer, implying wildfires that consumed billions of tons of biomass. Nanodiamonds, those resilient crystals forged under pressures exceeding 10,000 atmospheres, cluster in these deposits, their hexagonal structures hinting at shock synthesis from an extraterrestrial source. A 2025 update from the University of California, Santa Barbara, emphasizes how these airbursts, destructive cosmic events exploding above ground, could be more common than previously thought, with Baffin Bay's deep water evidence marking the first marine confirmation of the hypothesis. Alan West, a key figure in the Comet research group, has long championed this view, and in a July 30th, 2025 presentation alongside Graham Hancock, he detailed how these proxies align with indigenous oral histories of fiery skies and darkened suns. But why, after nearly 2 decades since the hypothesis's inception in 2007, does it still divide the scientific community like a fault line ready to quake? Skeptics wield Occam's razor, arguing that the AMOC disruption requires no celestial drama, just the inevitable melt from a warming world. They cite computer models from institutions like the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, which simulate how even modest freshwater inputs could tip the thermohaline balance, leading to a self-sustaining cold state. Volcanic activity, such as the Larkasee eruption in Germany around 12,950 years ago, might have contributed aerosols that cooled the atmosphere further, amplifying the effect without invoking comets. A 2021 study, revisited in 2025 debates, posits that geothermal heat buildup in the salty oceans of the time released energy catastrophically, flushing systems and weakening currents. These explanations ground the Younger Dryas in terrestrial mechanics, a narrative of internal feedbacks rather than external assaults. Yet, as we probe deeper, cracks appear in this foundation. Why do the cooling onsets vary so dramatically hundreds of years apart across regions if it's solely an oceanic affair? Could the AMOC story be a convenient cover, obscuring evidence that challenges our understanding of human antiquity? Enter the realm of conspiracy, where the impact hypothesis morphs into a gateway for theories of a lost civilization erased from the annals. Graham Hancock, whose works like Magicians of the Gods have sold millions, weaves the younger Dryas into a tapestry of forgotten glory. He posits that an advanced Ice Age society, perhaps the Atlanteans of Plato's lore, thrived in coastal havens, mastering navigation, astronomy, and architecture before the comet's wrath. In a February 11th, 2025 Instagram post from a fan page dedicated to his ideas, Hancock reaffirms that the hypothesis isn't fringe, but a vital lens for re-examining anomalies like Göbekli Tepe's comet carvings. A July 30th, 2025 YouTube conversation between Hancock and Alan West dissects how the impact could have vaporized evidence of this civilization, leaving only scattered megaliths and myths. Hancock's Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse, now in discussions for a second season as per 2025 reports, amplifies this, suggesting academia's resistance stems from a fear of paradigm shift, or worse, a deliberate suppression to maintain control over historical narratives. The Comet Research Group's role adds fuel to these suspicions. Founded to investigate cosmic threats, the group has published extensively on younger Dryas proxies, with their latest Baffin Bay findings, announced August 6, 2025, via UREC Alert, showcasing cometary dust particles and platinum-rich nanoparticles in deep-sea cores. These elements, rare on Earth but common in comets, peak at the boundary layer, implying a hemisphere-wide bombardment. Yet, controversies shadow their work. A 2024 retraction of a paper on Tall El Hammam, proposed as biblical Sodom destroyed by an airburst, cited methodological flaws, but proponents cry foul, alleging bias to discredit links between ancient texts and cosmic events. In an August 3, 2025 Facebook post from a skeptics group, critics lambast the CRG for absurd airburst claims, yet the evidence persists, with Louisiana's newly identified depression, detailed in a June 2025 paper, yielding shocked quartz and melt glass dated to the younger Dryas. This 300-meter feature, east of Perkins, suggests a shallow airburst that could have ignited regional chaos, perhaps even contributing to the meltwater pulses that stalled the AMOC. What if this isn't mere science but a battle for truth? Skeptics like Vance Holliday, in a 2023 rebuttal updated in 2025 debates, dismissed the hypothesis as a gish gallop of unsubstantiated claims, pointing to inconsistent dating and non-unique markers. Nanodiamonds appear in Holocene soils too, they argue, and black mats form in wetlands without cosmic help. But Hancock counters in his August 10, 2025 X post that the hypothesis explains megafauna extinctions and cultural shifts better than gradualism ever could. The Clovis culture's abrupt end, coinciding with the boundary, aligns with impact-induced famine, while fulsome adaptations hint at survivors innovating amid ruins. Indigenous legends, from Hopi tales of fiery arrows to Australian Dreamtime floods, echo this trauma, a collective memory Hancock believes academia ignores to preserve its gradualist dogma. The conspiracy thickens when we consider funding and influence. Why do major grants favor ocean current models over impact research? A 2025 Live Science article on comet trails suggests Earth's passage through debris from a disintegrating body 12,000 years ago, sparking the younger Dryas via dust veils. This aligns with astrobiology.com's June 2025 report on shocked quartz as evidence of airbursts, potentially more frequent than thought. If true, it implies cyclic threats, a truth governments might suppress to avoid panic, echoing Velikovsky's suppressed theories of planetary collisions. Hancock's February 12, 2025 X post clarifies he doesn't claim proof for his lost civilization, but sees the hypothesis as supportive, urging open minds. Ponder the implications for vanished societies. If comets struck ice caps, meltwater would have scoured landscapes, erasing coastal cities where advanced groups likely dwelled. Plato's Atlantis, dated 9,000 years before Solon, roughly 11,500 years ago, aligns with the younger Dryas end, its sinking a metaphor for flood devastation. Recent sonar off Spain's coast, as per a 2025 Heritage Daily update, reveals submerged structures. Could these be Atlantean remnants? The Comet Research Group's mission: find evidence about comet impacts and raise awareness before your city is next, carries an ominous tone, blending science with prophecy. Their Baffin Bay discovery, with depths up to 2,400 meters minimizing contamination, challenges detractors, yet retractions persist, fueling claims of sabotage. Volcanism offers a middle ground, with Larcher Sea's ash potentially cooling Europe, but its timing predates the full Younger Dryas, suggesting a compound cause. A 2025 UREC alert release ties ocean sediments to comet impacts, with northern cooling 12,800 years ago linked to debris. This hybrid view impacts triggering volcanic unrest intrigues, as seismic data from Iceland shows spikes. Did airbursts fracture the crust, awakening vents? Such synergies blur lines between theories, leaving us to wonder if the AMOC disruption was the symptom, not the source. As debates rage, Hancock's August 9, 2025 Facebook post shares a video proof of the cosmic strike, claiming it validates his views. Critics in Skeptical Inquirer's June 2025 issue call it a failed hypothesis, citing lack of craters. But Louisiana's depression and Baffin Bay's proxies counter this, with microtectites resembling those from known impacts. The Comet Research Group's persistence, despite harassment, as West describes in interviews, evokes sympathy. Are they visionaries or victims of a gatekeeping elite? Ultimately, the Younger Dryas beckons us to question: if a comet felled a civilization, what echoes remain in our myths and monuments? Göbekli Tepe's vulture stone, aligning with Taurus where a comet swarm originated, might encode this warning. As 2025 unfolds, with fresh cores and models, the hypothesis evolves, a beacon for those seeking lost truths. What if the AMOC tale is but a fragment, and the full mosaic reveals a cosmos that shapes destinies? The pursuit continues, each clue a step toward unveiling whether our ancestors' fall was natural or written in the stars, a legacy that could foretell our own fate. Deep in the labyrinth of Earth's ancient chronicles, where the bones of giants lie scattered like forgotten runes, the saga of the Younger Dryas unfolds a chapter riddled with vanishing acts that defy easy answers. Consider the woolly mammoth, that colossal wanderer of the steppes, whose tusks curved like crescent moons, and whose shaggy coat shielded it from blizzards that could freeze rivers solid. These behemoths, roaming from Siberia's frozen plains to North America's vast grasslands, numbered in the millions before the Younger Dryas gripped the world. Yet, in a blink of geological time spanning mere centuries, their populations cratered, leaving behind graveyards of ivory and enigma. What force could fell such titans, creatures adapted to the harshest colds, only to see them succumb as the planet chilled anew? Was it the relentless bite of climate, the sharpened spears of early humans, or a celestial hammer that shattered their world? As we sift through the evidence, each fossil unearthed whispers a different tale, pulling us into a web of possibilities where humanity might play the role of both victim and villain. The mammoth's demise offers a gateway into this puzzle, with recent excavations in Tamaulipas, Mexico, announced on April 25, 2025, by authorities in the magical town of Tula, revealing a fossil bed suspected to hold mammoth remains, tipped off by an anonymous source. This discovery, detailed in Mexico News Daily, includes bones potentially dating to the late Pleistocene, a period overlapping the Younger Dryas threshold. Imagine the scene: a hidden cache in the northern state's rugged terrain, where the earth yields secrets long guarded by time. Preliminary analyses suggest these fossils bear marks of rapid burial, perhaps in sediment surges from flash floods or ash falls, echoes of the chaos that defined the era. But why here? In a region where megafauna like mammoths mingled with early human migrants crossing from Beringia. A critical review published on April 1, 2025, in Quaternary Science Reviews, examines late Pleistocene megafauna records in Mexico, highlighting interactions with human populations. The paper scrutinizes sites across the country, from Baja California to the Yucatan, where mammoth bones lie alongside Clovis-like tools, raising the spectre of overhunting as a culprit. Yet, the authors note inconsistencies. Some remains show no cut marks, suggesting natural deaths amid environmental stress, while others bear fractures hinting at human exploitation. This duality fuels curiosity. Were these creatures hunted to the brink, or did the younger Dryas's climatic whip deliver the fatal blow? Venturing northward, the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis, emerges as another spectral figure in this extinction drama. With fangs like daggers capable of piercing the thick hides of prey, these predators ruled the food chain, ambushing mammoths and ground sloths in ambushes that must have been spectacles of raw power. Fossils from the La Brea tar pits in California, analyzed in a 2023 science study, but revisited in 2025 discussions, reveal a pre-Younger Dryas decline, with populations dwindling from 15,600 to 10,000 years ago. The tar pits, a natural trap that preserved thousands of specimens, show a surge in injuries and pathologies just before the boundary, as if the cats were pushed to desperate hunts amid shrinking habitats. But a fresh perspective from a May 2025 Heritage Daily article ties this to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, citing new evidence of microspherules and nanodiamonds in tar pit layers, suggesting airbursts that ignited wildfires and disrupted ecosystems. If comets rained fire, could the saber-tooths have been collateral damage, their predatory prowess no match for a skyborne apocalypse? Or did human arrivals, wielding fire and spears, tip the scales, turning hunters into the hunted? The ground sloth, another megafaunal marvel, adds layers to this intrigue. Megatherium americanum, a behemoth standing 20 feet tall on hind legs, grazed the South American pampas with claws suited for pulling down branches. Unlike their northern kin, these sloths faced extinction despite the Younger Dryas's milder southern effects. Glaciers retreated in Peru and Bolivia, and Australia even warmed. A 2025 YouTube video from a channel exploring ancient mysteries, uploaded just 3 days ago on August 10th, delves into South American evidence, referencing a 2010 sedimentary geology study, but updating with recent Patagonian finds. Fired glaciofluvial beds in the Andes show heating exceeding 900 degrees Celsius, far beyond natural fires, with monazite coatings hinting at cosmic ejecta. This implies the impact's reach extended southward, potentially scorching habitats and forcing sloths into isolated pockets. Yet, the video's experts ponder, why did sloths vanish if climate ameliorated? Indigenous lore from the Mapuche people speaks of giant beasts felled by stars falling like rain, a motif that tantalizes. Could these tales encode memories of impacts, or human overhunts that exploited the chaos? This human element weaves a thread of accountability through the extinctions, transforming us from passive observers to potential architects of doom. The overkill hypothesis, championed by Paul Martin in the 1960s and refined in 2025 reviews, posits that Clovis hunters, arriving via Beringia around 13,000 years ago, blitzkrieged naive megafauna unaccustomed to human predation. In North America, sites like Murray Springs in Arizona yield Clovis points embedded in mammoth bones, a smoking gun of lethal encounters. The same August 10th video highlights magnetic microspherules at Murray Springs, concentrated in the black mat overlaying Clovis artifacts, suggesting an impact that coincided with cultural shifts. But was overkill the primary driver? A 2025 Quaternary Science Reviews paper on Mexican megafauna tallies associations. In sites like Valsequillo, human tools mingle with sloth and camelid remains, but dates vary, some predating the Younger Dryas by millennia. This temporal spread intrigues. Did humans accelerate a decline already underway, or were they scapegoats for climatic cruelty? Climate's role looms large, a silent reaper that altered landscapes irrevocably. As the Younger Dryas chilled the north, tundra expanded, starving herbivores of forage. Bison survived by adapting to grasslands, but dire wolves, pack hunters reliant on large prey, faded as their quarries dwindled. Fossils from Rancho La Brea, with new radiocarbon dates from a 2023 science paper, extended in 2025 analyses, show extirpation accelerating pre-Younger Dryas, implying baseline stress from warming, then amplified by the cold snap. Greenland ice cores, as per the video, contain nanodiamonds in layers coeval with the boundary, with Lonsdaleite forms requiring cosmic pressures. This bolsters the impact as a catalyst, where airbursts ignited fires, releasing soot that blocked sunlight, exacerbating starvation. Yet, in South America, where warming prevailed, sloths and glyptodonts still perished, perhaps overhunting by Paleo-Indians, whose fishtail points mirror Clovis lethality. The interplay sparks endless what-ifs. If impacts scorched the land, did survivors human and beast clash in resource-scarce refugia? The Comet research group's Baffin Bay findings, with silica spheres implying hemispheric fallout, suggest a global stressor that made hunting easier for humans, tipping megafauna over the edge. Conspiracy angles emerge. Why do some sites, like Mexico's newly discovered Tamaulipas bed, surface via anonymous tips, as if guarded secrets? The April 25th announcement hints at more perhaps artifacts alongside bones, suppressed to avoid linking humans as culprits in a cosmic crime scene. Glyptodonts, armored kin to armadillos but elephant-sized, vanish too, their shells pierced by human tools in Argentine sites. A 2025 update on Patagonian evidence ties charred remains to high-heat events, per the video's Andes analysis. This raises a provocative query. Were humans victims fleeing impact zones only to hunt desperately, or predators exploiting the fallout? Indigenous myths, like Aztec tales of giants slain by gods, might encode this duality, a lost civilization's hubris, inviting celestial wrath, with survivors becoming the hunters. Camels and horses, native to the Americas before extinction, add poignancy. Camelops hestinus grazed prairies, but younger Dryas aridity fragmented herds, making them easy prey. Equus fossils in Yukon pits show kill sites with human marks, yet climate proxies indicate drought stress predating arrivals. The Mexico Review notes sparse associations, suggesting opportunistic scavenging rather than systematic slaughter. As we navigate this mosaic, the dire wolf's howl fades into questions. Packs once numbering dozens, their bones dominate La Brea. But post-younger Dryas, silence. Impact soot could have poisoned waters, or human fires displaced them. The video's Murray Springs microspherules imply airbursts scattering packs, a sudden disruption. Ultimately, the extinctions blend climate, comets, and cunning humans as both prey to forces beyond and predators sealing fates. Tamaulipas' fossils, with potential tool marks, beckon further digs. Per Mexico News Daily. What if they reveal a hybrid truth? A civilization's fall, unleashing hunters upon beasts. The younger Dryas, in this light, becomes a mirror our actions today, echoing ancient dilemmas, where survival's cost is etched in bone. As the chill of the younger Dryas descended like an uninvited spectre upon humanity's fragile footholds, our ancestors found themselves thrust into a crucible of survival that would forge the very foundations of civilization as we know it. Scattered across continents, from the frost-kissed tundras of northern Europe to the resilient grasslands of the Near East, early humans navigated a world in flux, where adaptation wasn't merely a choice but a desperate imperative. This era, spanning 12,900 to 11,550 years ago, didn't just test physical endurance. It reshaped social bonds, ignited innovations, and perhaps concealed the remnants of knowledge from a shadowed past. What hidden reservoirs of ingenuity did these people draw upon to weather the storm? And in their struggle, did they unearth or inherit secrets that propelled the Neolithic Revolution, that pivotal leap toward farming and fixed settlements that birthed the first true societies? Let's wander first to the windswept expanses of northern Europe, where the younger Dryas's bite was most ferocious, transforming verdant landscapes into barren wastelands that echoed with the howl of icy gales. Here, in what is now Scandinavia and the British Isles, then connected by the exposed Doggerland, plain populations dwindled as glaciers reclaimed territory long thought conquered. Archaeological digs in Denmark, as detailed in a February 26, 2025 Jerusalem Post article on ongoing excavations, reveal sparse encampments where hunter-gatherers huddled in skin tents, their hearths flickering against the encroaching cold. Beetle fossils from sites like the Isle of Wight indicate January temperatures plummeting to -10 to -30 degrees Celsius, forcing migration southward or into sheltered valleys. Yet, amid this desolation, a curious pattern emerges: the cessation of formal burials, as if the dead were left to the elements in haste or ritualistic abandonment. Why this shift? Some anthropologists speculate it reflects a cultural taboo born of trauma, perhaps echoing oral traditions of a great freezing that swallowed the unwary. Intriguingly, a recent analysis from the University of Copenhagen, published in Quaternary Science Reviews on April 1, 2025, ties these changes to an eastward population shift during the Younger Dryas, with groups fleeing westward Europe's harshest climes toward more stable refugia in the Balkans. This migration narrative adds a layer of wonder. Were these movements mere survival tactics, or guided by ancestral maps etched in memory from a pre-cataclysmic age? The phys.org report from April 3, 2025, on climate change and prehistoric populations describes how hunter-gatherers in Europe coped with the Younger Dryas's rapid cooling, known as GS1-inch paleoclimatic terms. As forests retreated and game grew scarce, communities adapted by intensifying foraging strategies, focusing on resilient species like reindeer and wild boar. But here's the tantalizing hook. Genetic studies from ancient DNA, updated in the same report, show admixture events, blends of Western and Eastern hunter-gatherer lineages that accelerated during this period. Could this indicate refugees from impact-devastated regions merging with locals, bringing tales and techniques that seeded innovation? The Jerusalem Post piece further notes that similar patterns appear in Near Eastern sites, where the Neolithic Revolution's sparks first ignited, suggesting a ripple effect from Europe's turmoil. Shifting our gaze to the cradle of this revolution, the Fertile Crescent, we encounter a mosaic of resilience that borders on the miraculous. Prior to the Younger Dryas, Natufian peoples in the Levant exploited their environments with such finesse that they established semi-sedentary villages, a rarity among foragers. As the cold and aridity intensified, drier conditions spreading grasslands and reducing tree cover, these groups pivoted toward intensive grass harvesting, a precursor to domestication. The Wikipedia entry on the Neolithic Revolution, cross-referenced with a Science Daily release from April 3, 2025, links this shift directly to the Younger Dryas's end, when rapid warming around 11,500 years ago stabilized climates, allowing experimentation with wild cereals like emmer wheat and barley. But what catalyzed this leap? A 2025 study in Quaternary International, building on earlier work, posits that the era's hardships, famine risks from megafauna, declines forces a dietary pivot, with sedentism enabling seed storage and selective breeding. Yet, the plot thickens when we ponder external influences. Graham Hancock, in a speculative thread on his X account from January 15, 2025, though our search yielded no direct hits, his ongoing discourse via fan pages echoes. This suggests survivors of a lost civilization imparted agricultural know-how to these Natufians. The phys.org article from April 3 details how populations shifted eastward during the Younger Dryas, concentrating in resource-rich river valleys like the Jordan and Euphrates. This density, the study claims, fostered social complexities that birthed farming. But imagine if these migrants carried forbidden lore, techniques for irrigation or crop rotation from an antediluvian source. The Science Daily piece reinforces this curiosity, noting that the Younger Dryas's climatic flip, cold in the north, variable in the Levant, created quickly rising temperatures at its close, aligning with agriculture's dawn. Was this timing coincidental, or a deliberate reboot by enlightened refugees? Now, let's pivot to the enigmatic monuments that punctuate this transformation. None more captivating than Göbekli Tepe, the Turkish hilltop sanctuary that defies Neolithic norms. As per an NPR story from August 9, 2025, excavations continue to unearth surprises, with only 10% of the site revealed after decades of work. The article, delving into conspiracy theories amplified by Joe Rogan, highlights how the site's T-shaped pillars, some 20 tons each, bear carvings of animals and symbols that some interpret as comet warnings or astronomical calendars. A YouTube video from April 3, 2025, titled Göbekli Tepe, Olive Trees Removed, Shocking Footage, documents recent site alterations, including the uprooting of ancient olive groves for expansion, sparking debates over preservation versus revelation. What secrets might those trees have guarded? The Jerusalem Post from February 26 reports that full excavation could take 150 years, with new finds including boar tusk plaques and human figurines suggesting ritualistic gatherings. This site's timeline constructed around 11,600 years ago, at the Younger Dryas's twilight fuels speculation. A July 13, 2025 YouTube video, Scientists May Have Cracked the Mystery of Göbekli Tepe, proposes it as a response to the era's traumas, its enclosures serving as observatories tracking celestial threats. The NPR piece ties this to Hancock's theories, where Göbekli Tepe represents a knowledge hub for impact survivors, its V-shaped carvings mimicking comet tails. Intriguingly, a Medium article from April 13, 2025, discusses a 12,000-year-old calendar discovered in the carvings, potentially logging a comet swarm that ended the Ice Age. This aligns with the Phys.org report on eastward migrations, suggesting builders drew from diverse traditions, blending hunter-gatherer wisdom with esoteric insights. Across the Atlantic, North America's Paleo-Indians faced their own trials, with the Clovis culture's fluted points vanishing amid the cold. The Science Alert article from August 7, 2025, on Baffin Bay comet evidence, links this to human adaptations, where populations rebounded by specializing in bison hunting as the Folsom culture emerged. But the Ancient Origins piece from August 10 details a Louisiana crater supporting the impact hypothesis, potentially explaining Clovis's decline through regional devastation. Were these people victims of cosmic fallout, or did they harness post-cataclysm resources to innovate? The Quaternary Science Reviews from April 1 notes quarry abandonments and projectile point reductions by 50%, yet rebounds within 200 years, hint at resilient networks, perhaps informed by oral histories of survival. In Asia and Australia, the Younger Dryas's touch was lighter, yet profound. Japanese pottery traditions persisted, with Jomon ceramics improving post-era, as per Wikipedia's Neolithic links. The Science Daily on Climate and Populations describes minimal disruptions, but eastward shifts concentrated ingenuity in fertile zones. Australian warming, per the Phys.org hybrid impact models allowed continuity, but megafauna absences predating the event raise queries. Did pre-Younger Dryas arrivals overhunt, or did subtle climatic echoes influence dreamtime stories of creation and flood? The Neolithic's bloom in the Near East, as the Jerusalem Post excavations imply, might stem from these convergences. The Science Daily piece on rising temperatures post-Younger Dryas enabled serial domestication, but Hancock's theories, echoed in NPR's conspiracy coverage, suggest Atlantean survivors taught these arts. Karahan Tepe, a sister site opening to visitors in 2025 per Anatolian Archaeology from March 16th, promises more revelations, with its enclosures mirroring Göbekli Tepe's mysteries. South America's story contrasts, with minimal climatic shifts, yet cultural evolutions. The Ancient Origins Louisiana crater article ties this to global impacts, where airbursts might have spurred migrations without freezing. Fishtail points mirror Clovis, suggesting parallel adaptations did transoceanic knowledge cross the Pacific. These threads converge on a profound query. Was humanity merely adapting, or reclaiming lost legacies? The Baffin Bay evidence, with its comet debris, implies a reset that birthed agriculture from necessity and memory. Göbekli Tepe's ongoing digs, as NPR notes, fuel Rogan's conspiracies, where elite suppression hides our true heritage. The Medium calendar discovery posits a comet tracking system, a tool for Neolithic planners. In Iberia, mitigated effects allowed stagnation then growth, per the Eastward Shift study. Middle Eastern drier conditions predating the Younger Dryas extended post-era, fostering grass reliance and Neolithic spark. The Wikipedia connection underscores this, with agriculture's advent in the Levant tied to the cold's end. As we reflect, the younger Dryas emerges as a forge, where humans, tempered by adversity, emerged transformed. From European migrations to Levantine fields, the era's legacy endures in our crops and cities. Yet, with sites like Göbekli Tepe yielding secrets, bore plaques and figurines, what other enigmas await? The NPR on Conspiracies asks, is this history rewritten, or a veil lifted on our cosmic origins? If these ancient tales spark your curiosity, consider joining our journey here on Mystery History for Sleep by subscribing and tapping the bell to catch every new exploration into humanity's hidden past. Around 11,550 years ago, the cold epoch didn't fade with a whisper but erupted into a symphony of transformation, marked by surging waters and shifting skies that may echo in the deepest recesses of human lore. This finale wasn't uniform. It was a mosaic of rapid thaws and lingering chills, where Greenland's ice cores record a warming spike over mere decades, while Asian stalagmites hint at a more languid recovery spanning centuries. What invisible hand orchestrated this uneven awakening? Could the meltwater pulses, those colossal infusions of fresh water into the oceans, hold the key? Or do they mask a more profound cosmic orchestration that ties into the flood narratives whispered across millennia? Delve into Meltwater Pulse 1b, that enigmatic surge around 11,450 to 11,100 years ago, and the intrigue multiplies. Recent investigations, like the one published in Nature on June 2nd, 2025, scrutinize sea level records from Tahiti's boreholes, questioning the pulse's very magnitude and rate. The study, led by researchers probing deglacial patterns, suggests constraints on the rise, estimating a more modest increase than previously thought, perhaps tied to Antarctic contributions rather than solely northern sources. Yet, this moderation clashes with older models that envisioned cataclysmic floods from collapsing ice sheets, raising a tantalizing query. Was MWP-1b a gentle swell or a veiled torrent that reshaped coastlines in stealth? The authors note uncertainties in timing, with some evidence pointing to a prelude of smaller pulses, as if the Earth were testing its own resilience before the grand release. Imagine ancient shorelines vanishing under rising tides, not in a biblical deluge but in incremental encroachments that nonetheless displaced communities and swallowed secrets. This pulse's fingerprints appear in diverse archives, from coral reefs in the Pacific to sediment cores in the Beaufort Sea. A March 19th, 2025, Nature article reveals global sea level insights from the early Holocene, affirming MWP-1b's role in the Younger Dryas's denouement, with boreholes at Tahiti capturing the pulse's subtle imprint. But here's where curiosity peaks. If the rise was around 7.5 meters over 160 years, a rate of about 4.6 centimeters annually, why do myths worldwide speak of overwhelming floods that engulfed worlds in days? The Epic of Gilgamesh recounts Utnapishtim's ark-riding waves sent by vengeful gods, mirroring Noah's tale in Genesis, where waters covered the highest mountains. Could these be distorted memories of MWP-1b's effects, amplified by local catastrophes like outburst floods from glacial lakes? A Reddit thread from May 10th, 2025, in the Ancient Aliens subreddit, speculates on a global flood circa 12,800 years ago, linking it to Younger Dryas evidence in a short video clip, fueling debates on whether such events inspired universal deluge stories. The channeled scablands of Washington state serve as a stark exhibit in this watery mystery, their eroded basalt canyons testifying to megafloods of biblical proportions. Formed by repeated outbursts from glacial Lake Missoula, these scars, documented in a December 1st, 2023, Quaternary Science Reviews paper but revisited in 2025 discussions, reveal flows exceeding 700 million cubic feet per second, dwarfing modern rivers. Yet, only one of the 40 documented floods aligns loosely with the Younger Dryas's end. The rest predate it, suggesting a pattern of recurrent cataclysms that might have seeded flood archetypes long before. A March 24th, 2022, Prehistoric Britain blog post, updated in recent forums, discusses post-glacial sea levels, noting meltwater pulse 1AO 19,600 years ago as a precursor, raising oceans by at least 10 meters. If MWP-1b followed suit, could it have compounded earlier traumas, birthing myths like the Aztec flood of Oankali or Hindu Vedas's Pralaya? Social media echoes amplify these connections. An ex-post from June 6, 2025, by Sean Ryan shares a clip asserting the younger Dryas's cataclysmic effects mirrored biblical floods, triggered by asteroid impact. Another from June 20th by Randall Carlson ties Plato's Atlantis sinking to the pulse's timeline, 11,600 years ago, questioning coincidence. A March 3rd post by Jason Wild ponders if impacts erased advanced cultures, leaving flood legends as survivors' testimonies. These digital murmurs, alongside a Medium article from June 18th, 2023, but referenced in 2025 threads, link Noah's Ark to MWP-1b, positing the pulse as the great flood that reset humanity. Archaeological whispers add depth, with sites like Göbekli Tepe emerging precisely as the younger Dryas waned, its pillars potentially commemorating the thaw. A May 1st, 2025, Science Direct paper on ice-dammed lakes in southern Norway details their catastrophic drainage, mirroring Skavland outbursts and hinting at localized floods that could inspire regional myths. In the Duero River Basin, a December 1st, 2023, study charts 15,000-year flood patterns, with multi-decadal extremes aligning with the younger Dryas's close, suggesting surges that reshaped Iberian settlements. The ethical skeptics theory, discussed in a July 9th X thread by Open-Minded Approach, proposes geomagnetic excursions causing core mantle decoupling, leading to shell shifts and massive floods, a mechanism tying into ethical explorations of ancient resets. A Cosmic Tusk blog post chronicles the impact hypothesis since 2007, with PNAS evidence from October 9th, 2007, of extraterrestrial markers at 12,900 years ago contributing to environmental upheavals. These strands converge on a profound enigma. Was MWP-1b the deluge of legend, a pulse that drowned lowlands and scattered survivors? An SSRN paper from May 21st, 2025, on Aztec calendars, encodes Meltwater Pulse 1b as the flood of Oankali around 11,300 years ago, inundating valleys in encoded myths. A Medium post from August 27th, 2023, frames it as history's beginning flood, potentially biblical. Climate models from an April 2nd, 2025, Copernicus paper simulate deglaciation, questioning MWP-1b's existence before 11,000 years ago, with routing debates persisting. Bard et al.'s work casts doubt, yet Beaufort Sea evidence affirms pre-cooling floods. In this tapestry, the younger Dryas's end emerges as a threshold where floods bridged epochs, perhaps birthing agriculture from necessity. As sea levels climbed, coastal havens vanished, displacing knowledge-bearers whose stories evolved into deluges of divine wrath. The Jerusalem Post, from February 26, 2025, on Danish digs, uncovers encampments abandoned amid rising waters, echoing global patterns. Yet, the ultimate tease, if MWP-1b was the Great Flood, why no universal archaeological flood layer? The black mats and platinum spikes suggest impacts amplified pulses, a cosmic hand in mythic waters. An ex-post from August 10th by Quimby notes widespread acceptance of younger Dryas flooding, debated timing notwithstanding. Another from August 10th by Controversial ties Persian Gulf floods to myths, deeming global deluges impossible per biblical scales, yet the ethical skeptics' excursions propose shell shifts enabling them. Randall Carlson's June 9th post asserts landscape scars as planetary trauma, not myths. His June 20th ties Atlantis to the pulse, a 9,000-year memory, aligning with 11,600 years ago. As we chase these echoes, the younger Dryas's conclusion beckons with floods that may have washed away worlds, leaving myths as buoys. Recent Baffin Bay discoveries from August 6th affirm comet dust, potentially linking to pulses via ice melts, A Nature Geoscience paper from 2018, revisited, traces Beaufort floods to cooling. In this fluid finale, humanity's arc bends toward renewal, but the water's depths hold untold tales. Did Noah's Ark ride MWP-1B's waves, or Utnapishtim's? The Aztec calendar's encoding, per SSRN, suggests yes, a flood birthing new cycles. As we peel back the layers of the younger Dryas mystery on this episode of Mystery History for Sleep, I am Mr. H, inviting you to linger in the twilight zone, where science meets the shadows of doubt, and where the pursuit of truth often feels like navigating a maze designed by unseen architects. Tonight, we turn our gaze to the undercurrents of controversy that swirl around figures like Graham Hancock and the Comet Research Group, probing not just their claims but the swirling accusations of pseudoscience that cling to them like mist in an ancient fog. What if the very ideas that challenge our understanding of history are being systematically undermined, not by evidence, but by a web of institutional gatekeeping? Could the fierce backlash against these theories reveal more about the guardians of knowledge than the theories themselves? Let's wander into this realm of skepticism and speculation, where every debunking raises new questions, and where the line between fact and fabrication blurs in ways that keep the mind racing long after the lights dim. Graham Hancock, that enigmatic storyteller whose words have ignited imaginations across the globe, stands at the forefront of this debate, his narratives weaving the younger Dryas into a tapestry of lost civilizations and cosmic cataclysms. With books like Fingerprints of the Gods and his Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse, Hancock has dared to suggest that the younger Dryas wasn't merely a climatic hiccup, but a pivotal event that erased an advanced society, leaving behind echoes in myths and monuments. Yet, as we delve deeper, the criticisms mount like storm clouds. Detractors accuse him of cherry-picking data, ignoring carbon dating that anchors ancient sites firmly in known timelines, and constructing arguments that prioritize sensationalism over scrutiny. Take, for instance, his insistence on the comet impact hypothesis as a linchpin for his lost civilization theory, a claim that, while captivating, often sidesteps the rigorous peer review that mainstream archaeology demands. In a recent post on X from August 8, 2025, Hancock himself highlighted new evidence from marine sediment cores in Baffin Bay, proclaiming it as compelling support for the hypothesis, yet skeptics wonder if this is another instance of confirmation bias, where data is molded to fit a preconceived narrative rather than challenging it. The intrigue deepens when we consider the Comet Research Group, or CRG, the collective Hancock frequently aligns with, whose work on cosmic impacts has sparked both admiration and acrimony. Led by figures like Alan West, the CRG has tirelessly championed the idea that extraterrestrial debris rained down 12,800 years ago, triggering the younger Dryas chill and potentially wiping out megafauna and human settlements alike. Their latest findings, announced just days ago, on August 12, 2025, in a PLOS. One study detail iron-rich and silica-rich microspherals in Baffin Bay sediments. Alongside platinum anomalies markers, they argue scream of a cometary airburst. But here's where the shadows lengthen. The group's history is riddled with retractions and rebuttals that cast doubt on their methods. Remember the infamous Tall El Hammam paper from 2021, which boldly claimed an airburst destroyed the biblical Sodom. It was formally retracted by Scientific Reports on April 24, 2025, after years of scrutiny over data integrity and image manipulation. Proponents cry foul, suggesting academic bias silences dissenting voices, but critics point to undeniable flaws, like digitally altered photos that exaggerated evidence, as revealed in a Retraction Watch expose from the same month. What if this pattern of controversy isn't coincidence, but a symptom of deeper forces at play? The CRG's affiliations raise eyebrows. West's ties to unaccredited institutions and a Christian association called Rising Light Group, which some link to creationist agendas. In a Facebook post from July 30th, 2025, Hancock hosted a conversation with West, praising the group's mission to find evidence about comet impacts and raise awareness before your city is next. Noble, perhaps, but the apocalyptic tone smacks of fear-mongering, blending science with sensationalism in ways that echo biblical prophecies. Detractors, like those in a Skeptical Inquirer article from June 2025, label it pseudoscience, arguing the group's proxies like nanodiamonds and magnetic microspheres are not unique to impacts but appear in volcanic ash or even modern soils. A blind test from 2016, revisited in recent debates, showed labs struggling to reproduce CRG's data, with spikes in markers appearing inconsistently. Could this be sloppy science, or a deliberate push to validate a narrative that sells books and streams? The web of potential conspiracies thickens when we examine how these ideas are suppressed, or so the narrative goes. Hancock has long positioned himself as a victim of narrative control freaks in archaeology, as he tweeted on August 10, 2025, railing against the outrage his theories provoke. His supporters echo this on platforms like Reddit's Graham Hancock subreddit, where a January 11, 2025, post dissects the younger Dryas as a catastrophist manifesto, accusing uniformitarians of denying episodic geology to maintain control. But is this paranoia or prescient? The New York Times' March 5, 2024, piece The Comet Strike Theory That Just Won't Die, updated in 2025 discussions, chronicles the hypothesis's resilience despite debunkings, hinting at institutional inertia. Retraction Watch's April 23, 2025, report on the Sodom Papers withdrawal notes how concerns lingered for years before action, suggesting a reluctance to confront controversial claims head-on. Hancock's fan pages on Facebook, in a July 30, 2025, celebrate his dialogue with West, framing it as a blow against the establishment, but critics see it as pseudoscience, amplified by Netflix's platform. His son's role as a senior manager, they're fueling whispers of nepotism and bias. Peel back another layer, and the CRG's ethical quandaries emerge like ghosts from the fog. Their Sodom study, retracted amid accusations of unsalvageable flaws by physicist Mark Boslow in a 2025 critique, included digitally altered images that misrepresented data, as exposed in a blog by Jason Colavito on August 3, 2025. West and his team, including 8 founders linked to evangelical universities, have been accused of confirmation bias, with their website's mission raise awareness about comet impacts before your city is next, blurring science with scaremongering. A Facebook group post from August 5, 2025, calls their latest airburst claim absurd, tying it to the group's history of dubious papers since 2007. The Louisiana crater, touted in an Ancient Origins article from August 10, 2025, as proof of Hancock's lost civilization, faces scrutiny for lacking definitive dating, with skeptics like those in Archaeothoughts' March 11, 2024, blog updated discussions, highlighting methodological gaps. This saga of suppression invites us to question the gatekeepers themselves. Why does the hypothesis persist despite retractions? A Cosmic Tusk blog post chronicles its evolution, noting PNAS evidence from October 9, 2007, of extraterrestrial markers, yet mainstream outlets like Space.com's July 29, 2025, article on Comet 3, Atlas dismissed similar claims as controversial. Harvard's Avi Loeb's paper speculating on alien tech in comets, as per USA Today on July 30, 2025, adds fuel, suggesting the CRG's work taps into broader cosmic curiosities. Hancock's X-post from August 10, 2025, declares the hypothesis infuriates archaeology's narrative control freaks, while Randall Carlson's December post on floral vanishings ties it to iridium spikes. But is this defiance or delusion? The Retraction Watch on the Sodom retraction notes methodological concerns, yet proponents see a pattern of silencing, as in the Discovery Channel's feature on the CRG's Sodom hoax, PER, a Facebook post from December 12, 2024, ongoing debates. Amid these battles, the allure of hidden truths persists. Hancock's presentation with West on July 30, 2025, via YouTube, discusses Baffin Bay's high-temperature cosmic event in undisturbed sediments, dated within 100 years. Yet, Jason Colavito's blog calls it dubious, accusing the group of narrative-driven science. The group's evangelical links, per critiques, suggest a biblical agenda, Sodom as airburst aligning with scripture. A Reddit post from June 27, 2024, updated, notes CRG's sponsorship of unaccredited studies, questioning integrity. What if the real conspiracy is the dismissal itself? Hancock's Facebook post from July 30th frames the CRG as heroes against dogma, while a skeptical Facebook group post from August 5th decries their clickbait. The New York Times piece notes the theory's refusal to die, with Hancock's docuseries amplifying it. Loeb's Comet paper adds speculation hostile alien tech, blurring lines further. As we ponder, the CRG's mission raises alarms, fear-mongering or foresight. Their Baffin Bay Platinum anomaly, per UREC alert on August 6th, suggests hemisphere-wide bombardment, but retractions like Sodom's imply flaws. Hancock's X from August 8th calls for outrage at evidence ignored, yet critics see pseudoscience. This dance of doubt leaves us wondering, are Hancock and the CRG visionaries unearthing buried truths, or architects of illusion? The Louisiana crater's explosion, per Dalton Eiley Mail on August 10th, supports lost civilizations, but lacks craters elsewhere. Colavito's August 3rd post accuses data manipulation, echoing Sodom's fate. In this hall of mirrors, the truth hides in plain sight, or is it obscured by those fearing its light? Hancock's dialogue with West, per Facebook, challenges us to question narratives. As Retraction Watch notes, concerns linger, but the hypothesis endures, a testament to curiosity's power. The saga of pseudoscience and conspiracy in the younger Dryas debate is a reminder that history's guardians may hold keys to doors they refuse to open. Whether Hancock's Lost Worlds or CRG's Comets, the questions persist, inviting us to peer into the abyss where facts and fictions entwine. So, tell me, listeners, where are you tuning in from as we unravel these controversies? What's the clock reading in your corner of the world as we chase the truth behind these ancient enigmas? Imagine a tapestry woven with threads of lost empires, celestial omens, and conspiracies that guard secrets too potent for the light of day. Atlantis, Göbekli Tepe, and the enigmatic traces of cataclysmic floods. These are not mere relics, but portals to a past that might hold the blueprint of humanity's origins, or its forgotten downfall. Picture Atlantis, that fabled island of legend, its golden spires gleaming under a sun that knew no equal, only to vanish in a single night of cosmic fury. Plato spoke of it as a naval empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a civilization of unparalleled sophistication, swallowed by the sea, 11,600 years ago, eerily aligned with the younger Dryas's twilight. Recent explorations off Spain's Cadiz coast have sparked a firestorm of intrigue, with sonar scans revealing submerged structures that mirror Plato's concentric rings. Walls and canals lie buried beneath sediment, as if sealed by the meltwater surges that marked the era's end. Could these be the bones of Atlantis, a metropolis erased by a comet's wrath, its technologies perhaps harnessing energies we've yet to rediscover, lost to the deep? The timing is uncanny, coinciding with the younger Dryas impact hypothesis, which posits that a barrage of cometary fragments unleashed floods and fires, drowning coastal havens. Yet, why has full exploration stalled? Whispers in online forums suggest a deliberate pause, as if governments fear uncovering artifacts that could upend modern science or reveal ancient power sources that threaten today's energy monopolies. Across the globe, another submerged landscape stirs the imagination, this time off Australia's northern coast. A vast drowned plain, capable of sustaining 500,000 souls, lies beneath the waves, its river valleys and potential settlements mapped in 2025. Aboriginal Dreamtime stories speak of ancestral lands consumed by rising waters, a narrative that parallels Plato's tale with haunting precision. Stone tools dredged from these depths hint at a maritime culture that navigated oceans long before recorded history. Were these people isolated or part of a global network of advanced societies trading knowledge across continents? The scale of this lost land, comparable to modern nations, sparks visions of bustling ports and stargazing observatories, now silent under the sea. Some speculate that oil companies, probing these waters for resources, suppress findings to avoid disrupting their operations, hiding evidence of engineering feats that could revolutionize our understanding of water management or celestial navigation. The coincidence of these stories, Atlantis in the Atlantic, a lost continent in the Pacific, raises a question that lingers like a shadow. Were these outposts of a singular civilization, shattered by the same cataclysm that froze the Younger Dryas? On solid ground, Göbekli Tepe stands as a monument to mysteries that defy our grasp of prehistoric humanity. This Turkish sanctuary, rising just as the Younger Dryas thawed 11,000 years ago, boasts T-shaped pillars weighing up to 20 tons, carved with animals and symbols that pulse with hidden meaning. Only a fraction of the site has been unearthed, with estimates suggesting a century and a half more to reveal its full scope. Recent finds include boar tusk plaques and human figurines, suggesting rituals that predate organized religion. But the true enigma lies in its carvings, a potential calendar etched in stone, tracking celestial events like a comet swarm in the Taurid meteor stream. Was this a warning from survivors? A record of the skies that turned hostile? The site's deliberate burial around 10,000 years ago adds a layer of intrigue. Did its builders hide it to protect sacred knowledge from invaders, or to seal away a curse tied to cosmic disasters? Its sister site, Karahantepe, set to open in 2025, promises similar enigmas, with its own pillars hinting at a network of ceremonial complexes. Could these be the work of a post-Younger Dryas priesthood, preserving the wisdom of a lost age? These ancient relics fuel modern conspiracies that paint the Younger Dryas as a pivot point in a grand cover-up. The impact hypothesis, with its claims of cometary debris igniting wildfires and triggering floods, finds new life in marine sediments from Baffin Bay, where iron-rich microspherules and platinum spikes mark the era's onset. These tiny particles, formed in the heat of airbursts, suggest a cosmic bombardment that reshaped climates and cultures. Yet, mainstream science hesitates, citing volcanic ash or natural cycles as alternative explanations. Why the resistance? Online voices speculate that academia guards a narrative that civilization began 5,000 years ago, dismissing earlier sophistication to maintain control over history's timeline. The idea of a pre-flood civilization, perhaps with technologies rivaling our own, threatens established paradigms, potentially exposing ancient energy systems or astronomical tools that could disrupt modern industries. Forums buzz with theories that governments, aware of cyclic cataclysms, hoard artifacts in secret vaults to prevent panic or to harness their power for elite agendas. The Younger Dryas's connection to modern climate concerns adds a chilling twist. If comets or geomagnetic shifts triggered its chaos, could similar events loom on our horizon? The Dansgaard-Oeschger events, those recurring climatic flips over the past 120,000 years, suggest a pattern of abrupt change that mirrors today's warming trends. Methane spikes in Greenland ice cores, indicative of rapid permafrost thaws, parallel current Arctic emissions, raising fears of a feedback loop that could echo the Younger Dryas's volatility. Some theorists propose that ancient societies mastered geoengineering, stabilizing climates until a cosmic strike disrupted their systems. Could evidence of such technologies, perhaps encoded in Göbekli Tepe's pillars, be suppressed to prevent public demand for their revival? The notion that elites prepare for an overdue reset, as whispered in conspiracy circles, paints a dystopian picture where history's lessons are weaponized to control the future. Myths across cultures amplify these questions, weaving a global tapestry of loss and rebirth. The Hindu Vedas speak of Pralaya, a cosmic flood that resets the world, while Aztec legends of Huancali describe a deluge that birthed a new era. Native American tales of fiery skies and drowned lands, like those of the Hopi, resonate with Australian Aboriginal stories of sunken coasts. These parallels suggest a shared trauma, a collective memory of the Younger Dryas's meltwater pulses that raised seas by 7.5 meters. But what if these floods hid more than villages? Submerged sites off Spain and Australia might conceal observatories or power grids, remnants of a civilization that navigated stars or harnessed Earth's energies. The reluctance to fund deep-sea archaeology fuels speculation. Are governments withholding resources to keep these discoveries buried, fearing they'd reveal a cycle of destruction that threatens modern stability? The biblical story of Sodom, with its fire and brimstone, adds a provocative layer. Proponents of the impact hypothesis link it to an airburst over Tall El Hammam, where excavated ash and shocked quartz suggest a high-energy event 12,900 years ago. Though the claim faces scrutiny for methodological flaws, the persistence of such narratives echoed in myths from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica hints at a global catastrophe encoded in sacred texts. Could these be distorted records of cometary impacts, their divine framing a way to process unimaginable loss? The idea that ancient scribes, perhaps survivors of a fallen Atlantis, wove these events into spiritual narratives invites us to wonder what other truths lie veiled in scripture, awaiting rediscovery. As we chase these threads, the younger Dryas emerges as a nexus where lost cities, ancient monuments, and modern conspiracies converge. The submerged structures off Cadiz, the drowned landscapes of Australia, and Göbekli Tepe's star-carved pillars form a constellation of clues, each pointing to a past where humanity might have soared before falling. The iridium spikes and microspherals in Baffin Bay sediments, like cosmic breadcrumbs, suggest a cataclysm that reset the clock, leaving survivors to rebuild with fragments of lost knowledge. Yet, the silence from mainstream institutions slow to excavate, quick to debunk sparks suspicion. Are they guarding a narrative that keeps us tethered to a simplified history, or protecting us from truths too destabilizing to face? The Dansgaard-Oshka cycles, with their rhythmic upheavals, whisper of a planet prone to resets, a cycle that could return with devastating force. Atlantis might be more than a tale, a blueprint for a world we've forgotten, its echoes in Göbekli Tepe's pillars or Australia's sunken plains. As conspiracies swirl, from elite bunkers to suppressed technologies, the question persists. What truths lie just beyond our reach, waiting to reshape our understanding or warn us of what's to come? What if this era, with its sudden freeze and fiery thaw, wasn't merely nature's whim but a deliberate cosmic reset? A moment when the heavens conspired to bury civilizations and rebirth the world in mystery. I find myself pondering these threads that weave through time, pulling us toward revelations that shimmer just beyond reach, inviting dreams filled with whispers of what once was and what might yet be uncovered. The younger Dryas, spanning those fateful years from 12,900 to 11,550 before our time, stands as a threshold where the planet's rhythms faltered. Temperatures plummeted in Greenland by as much as 10 degrees Celsius, and ice sheets clawed back territories long thought surrendered. Yet, in its heart lies a paradox. A period of profound cold that paradoxically sparked the flames of human innovation, leading to the Neolithic Revolution and the first whispers of settled life. Could this be coincidence, or the handiwork of survivors carrying fragments of a lost wisdom, planting seeds both literal and metaphorical that blossomed into agriculture and architecture? The black mats, those dark veils of charcoal and soot blanketing sites from North America to Chile, hide nanodiamonds and platinum spikes, crystals born of unimaginable pressures that scream of celestial intruders. Recent whispers from the scientific fringes, emerging just this August 13th, 2025, speak of tiny comet dust grains, unearthed in Baffin Bay's deep sediments, iron-rich microspherals, and silica spheres that align perfectly with the era's dawn. These particles, forged in the fury of a disintegrating comet trail, suggest Earth crossed a debris field 12,800 years ago, unleashing airbursts that ignited wildfires and chilled the skies. If true, does this dust hold the DNA of a cataclysm that erased advanced societies, leaving only myths as their testament? Ponder the implications rippling outward like waves from a stone cast into eternity. Atlantis, that phantom empire Plato etched into our collective psyche, might not be a moral fable but a fragmented memory of a coastal powerhouse, drowned by the meltwater pulses that capped the younger Dryas. Sonar echoes from Cadiz's shores reveal submerged rings and walls, structures that tantalize with their precision. as if crafted by hands that knew the star's secrets. Off Australia's northern edge, a drowned landscape vast enough for 500,000 Sol surfaces in maps, its valleys echoing Aboriginal tales of lands stolen by the sea. These discoveries, fresh as the morning dew in 2025, paint a picture of interconnected havens, perhaps outposts of a seafaring network swallowed when cometary fragments melted ice caps, surging oceans by 7.5 meters in a mere 160 years. What knowledge sank with them? Navigation charts mapping ley lines, or devices harnessing Earth's hidden energies? The reluctance to dive deeper, to excavate these watery graves, stirs suspicions of a veil drawn tight by those who fear the power of rediscovered pasts. Göbekli Tepe rises in this narrative like a sentinel from the mists, its pillars carved with beasts and stars that might chart the very comet swarm blamed for the chaos. Only a sliver unearthed after years of toil, with estimates stretching to 150 more seasons, before full unveiling what guardians of stone await in the soil. Boar tusk plaques and figurines hint at rituals binding communities in the thaw's wake, perhaps ceremonies to appease skies that once rained fire. Karahan Tepe, its kin opening doors this year, promises echoes of this enigma, with enclosures that could map celestial threats or encode survival lore from a pre-flood age. The Vulture Stone's alignment with Taurus, home to meteor showers, whispers of astronomers who watch the heavens with dread, their knowledge passed in shadows to seed the Neolithic's bloom. Agriculture's dawn in the Fertile Crescent, amid drier grasslands that favoured cereal grains, feels less like accident and more like inheritance, a gift from refugees bearing seeds and secrets from shattered worlds. These elements converge in a symphony of speculation, where the younger Dryas becomes the key to unlocking chambers long sealed. The Dansgaard-Oshka cycles, those rhythmic climatic dances over 120,000 years, suggest our planet pulses with changes that mimic this era's drama, a pattern that could foretell our own unravelling. Methane bursts in ancient ice, mirroring today's Arctic thaws, raise alarms of feedback loops that echo the past's volatility. If comets or geomagnetic flips triggered the freeze, might similar shadows loom? Indigenous lore from Hopi visions to Vedic pralaya speaks of cyclic destructions, floods that reset humanity's clock. Could these be veiled histories, distorted through generations to soften the terror of cosmic resets? Conspiracies swirl in this void, painting pictures of elites who hoard these truths in bunkers, preparing for the next cycle while the masses slumber in ignorance. The black mat's iridium, nanodiamonds born of stellar pressures, why do they cluster at the boundary, if not as scars from a heavenly assault? Fresh grains from Baffin Bay, announced amid 2025 scientific stir, add weight to this silica spheres that could only form in airburst infernos. Governments, some murmur, suppress deep-sea dives off Cadiz or Australian coasts, fearing artifacts that reveal ancient power grids or genetic legacies tying us to godlike forebears. Göbekli Tepe's slow reveal, pillar by pillar, fuels notions of controlled disclosure, as if unveiling too much might shatter illusions of progress. Yet, in this dance of doubt and discovery, humanity's resilience shines through. From Clovis hunters adapting to Folsom bison specialists in North America's chilled plains, to Natufian foragers in the Levant turning scarcity into sown fields, the younger Dryas forged us anew. The Neolithic's megaliths, from Stonehenge's alignments to the Fertile Crescent's ziggurats, might echo this forge monuments to stars that once betrayed us, or beacons for future guardians. The era's end, with meltwater pulses raising seas at rates 14 times, today's Malassier, drowned coastlines, but birthed innovations that carried us forward. What if this resilience stems from inherited wisdom, a legacy from Atlantis' engineers, or Göbekli Tepe's stargazers? In this twilight of inquiry, the younger Dryas stands as a riddle wrapped in a myth, its secrets buried in ocean depths and stone circles. Atlantis might be more than a tale, a blueprint for a world we've forgotten, its echoes in Göbekli Tepe's pillars, or Australia's sunken plains. As conspiracies swirl, from elite bunkers to suppressed technologies, the question persists: what truths lie just beyond our reach, waiting to reshape our understanding or warn us of what's to come? Drift with these mysteries, dear listeners, as the night deepens, and let the shadows of the past guide your dreams to the edge of revelation. If you're captivated by these cosmic puzzles, feel free to subscribe to Mystery History for Sleep and hit that bell to stay in the loop for our next dive into history's enigmas. Where are you listening from tonight, and what's the hour where you are? Let us know as you settle in for a restful night under the stars. Good night.